Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
A very good evening and welcome to Evolution Sim Racing. This is the European GT Championship. This is round 8 coming to you from Portimao in Portugal. Tonight I'm James Bostock, and I'm always James Bostock actually, but tonight I'm joined by Dara Thacker in the comms booth. Are you there, Dara, and can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I am, and I can hear you perfectly well, James. I'm looking forward to this one. Portimao Circuit, I think that a lot of these drivers, well, some of them I think will know quite well. Some may be slightly newer to it, and final 90-minute race of the season is going to present its own challenges, I think, but definitely a circuit where we see quite a lot of overtaking opportunities, and yeah, this should be a really good race as we get towards the final parts of the season.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be a little bit different to last time out in Catalonia. I think for us so far, the 90-minute races, we think it's going to be a bit of a walk in the park, and it's not going to, it's going to maybe drag a little bit, but so far that's not proven to be the case in either of the other 2 rounds that we've had. So really looking forward to this one. We've got a nice fullish grid for tonight. There's a couple of drivers that are going to get a little yellow card, which I'll tell you about later, but nothing too serious. But yeah, so we've got Rob Mackay that's confirmed that the audio is all clear and levels are good, so thank you very much for that, Rob. It is always appreciated. Yeah, so Dara, this championship is tightening up a little bit in all of the categories, and I think tonight the big one as well is going to be, again, that new tyre model for the GT3s, and also only 4 laps of the quali to get the job done in the quali session. So do you think that's going to have an impact on where some of these drivers start the race tonight?
It definitely puts the pressure on, doesn't it? And particularly early on in that qualifying session. I think there's going to be a few of the drivers who will look very much to get the banker lap times in that first run. Some will go all guns blazing in all 4 of their laps and see what comes up for them. But I think a few of the drivers, maybe a couple of the more experienced drivers, will be that little bit more conservative at the start of the qualifying session and work themselves into it, because I think that's an underrated way to do this kind of qualifying session. Make sure that you can get your iron in the opening couple of laps and then use all the rest of the tyre that you've got underneath you towards the end of the session. So yeah, a bit of an art form having to do qualifying on a certain amount of laps. We'll have to see who can do the best job in a few minutes' time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. What we found from our opening rounds under the GT3 Championship is that the tyres come optimal about 6 laps in. So given that these guys have only got 4, I think that might shake up the grid quite nicely. As we look to the calendar, just a quick note on that. So yeah, you mentioned that this is the last of our 90-minute races, which it is indeed. Followed up in 2 weeks' time at Spa. Actually, it's a bit more than 2 weeks, because I think we missed 1 week because of the Spa 24-hour race. So yeah, that's on the 20th of July, the penultimate round at Spa, and then the final round is only 1 week later at Silverstone. So that's going to be the grand finale, and that should prove to be, hopefully, Dara, we can get these championships all running all the way through to that final round, because I don't know about you, but I love myself a little title decider on the final round.
Yeah, and it means that the drivers really have to be aware of who's around them and give themselves, basically it doesn't allow them to sit back, does it? Really make sure that they have to be on it all the way through the season and right towards the final round of the season as well. In Silverstone, such a fantastic place where we could get some title deciders, but to have the final 2 races on consecutive weeks and with a slightly longer break between this round and next means I think it's going to focus the minds of some of the drivers going into that final couple of rounds.
I think it will. So moving back a bit close to home, so tonight, this Portimao circuit, I've driven it myself quite a few times. It's one that I do personally enjoy. I like the kind of big open flowing tracks with plenty of room, but there's some cracking corners on this track, Dara. I think overtaking could be a plenty tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, you look down at maybe not necessarily turn 1 because it's quite a high-speed corner, but turn 3, turn 5 down at that hairpin as well, and then throughout the middle sector and final sector. Easy to go side by side through quite a few of these corners, particularly up at 10 and 11. The long right-hander varying lines can be taken there, but it's also wide enough and flowing enough that I don't think we'll have too much of a problem for the GT3s to be lapping the GT4s over the course of the evening, even though that will become quite a prevalent factor with 90 minutes worth of racing on the table for us. But yeah, definitely a circuit I think that invites racing more so than others that we've been to so far this season, but definitely one that I think is going to provide a great race.
It should do. It should do. And this is the moving on to the favourite bit of my fortnight. So this is where our very own Rob Mackay has taken someone's car this week. Now, I am told this week Rob took the Mercedes GT4 of Stephen Donnelly with his permission. So, I mean, whew, it means that we're going to have a few less legal claims popping in from the drivers for Rob going in their garages and stealing their car. So, yeah, he took Stephen Donnelly's car for a spin around Portimao. So, if you want to talk us through this one, Dara, as we go through, give us the track guide as you see it.
Yeah, this is a circuit with so much going on, so many varying lines, and definitely a challenge for the drivers to nail this kind of circuit. Track map in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. It's a little bit goofy. It's not exactly how you'd see it. It's a little bit sharper around this Portimao circuit, but towards turn 1, you'll see the track dips away from you, real drop off, almost the opposite of the Red Bull Ring in that aspect, in towards turn 1. The apex looks quite wide, but you'll realise as you hit the apex curve, the exit's very narrow indeed, difficult to run side by side, a lot of contact expected down there. Through 2, it's just a bit of a kink, and in towards turn 3, heavier braking zone, a lot of steering lock has to be put in there, and then as you run up the hill, the little crest at turn number 4, be careful to keep that rear end in check. The rear end does like to kick itself out a little bit as you run onto this back straight. Getting a good run out of there is crucial, because the next corner at turn 5 is the hairpin. It's a left-handed hairpin as well, and again slightly downhill, favouring the driver in front. Difficult to get it stopped if you've overcooked it on the brakes. Out of this corner, you go past the pavilion, which really stands tall over this circuit. Turn 6 flows into 7 and 8. This double right-hander again, where the rear end can be difficult to keep in check. And you can see Rob's just about doing it a better job than Andrew Fellows on the outside line there as he works his way through. Over this blind crest then, as you exit turn 8, and then dive down the hill to go back up the hill again in towards turn 10 and 11. This little flick of turn 9 enters you into the corner, and you can see varying lines. Some like to take it wider, some take the first apex and the second apex like Rob has done just here, and then dive back down the hill. You can really see why they call it the roller coaster in towards turn number 12, the left-hander. Turn 13 is a little bit tricky, can be inviting for a bit of ascent. Uphill means that the inside line, gravity will stop the car a little bit faster. Turn 14, again a corner where we may see a couple of drivers go side by side, but it's all about the exit through here, because it's as pinned as you can make it through the final corner at turn 15. Just you have as much confidence as you can in the car. Keep that foot as close to the floor as you dare. And as you run your way all the way around the final corner, maybe thinking about the shortest run to the line in qualifying. And if you're in the race, the car's around you to try and make a move back towards turn 1. That's the lap of Portimao, though. The lap time there was a 1:55 or so. That's kind of what we're looking at over the course of this race. So, we're going to be looking at 45, maybe up to 50 laps over the course of this one.
Yeah, so big shout out to Rob. Thank you very much. And I'm really, really pleased that there's not going to be any legal letters arriving for the illegal use of the car. For once. But what that does mean, Dara, is it means that Rob did not have to pay this week for the car. So, as promised in an earlier episode, Rob did say that he was going to do a little draw for a cash prize of 10 great British pounds. And Rob did a little survey from all of his Twitch fans and viewers. And there weren't actually that many people that entered it, but he did ask me to put that in a little draw. Strangely enough, a lot of the entrants seem to have a similar name, but in any case, without further ado, we'll do the draw for the winner. So, we'll spin the wheel and we will see who is going to win the 10 great British pounds from Mr. Mackay, and it is Brett M. So, I assume that, Rob, you know who that is. So, there is your winner. Massive congratulations to Brett M for winning the £10 voucher kindly donated by Mr. Rob Mackay. So thank you, Rob, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time for your next hot lap. So back to the serious stuff, Dara. We best get on with some standings.
Yeah, we better do. And it's getting quite exciting at this stage of the season now. 3 rounds to go, and a lot of drivers looking to put themselves in the best position for any kind of championship aspirations. Leading the championship then In the GT3s, still Anton Kahler. He's been leading this championship ever since the opening round, and he hasn't relinquished that. But it's going to be under pressure tonight. Yannis Hilbert has won 5 in a row and is looking as close as possible to maybe taking that championship lead tonight. He's 44 points back, which means that a decent enough result for Anton will make sure that he stays in the championship lead going into Spa in 3 weeks' time. However, Yannis is very much on the horizon. Will Soper's consistency, despite only one podium, has got him up into the top 3 in the championship, but he's only the solitary point ahead of Gianni Terhard. That's going to be the real battle in this Drivers' Championship towards the end of the season. Outside of the top positions, outside of first v second, it will be third v fourth. Matt Hoyland is a bit alone, I should say, in P5 in this championship, ahead of Arima Shalinskas, the Lithuanian driver who is tied on points with Ben Bennyworth. They both have up and down seasons, but they're going to be hoping to stay ahead of Jaden Scott, who had a season's best result of P4 a couple of weeks ago. We'll see if he can build off of that tonight. Kalle Leskinen and Joe Glass still inside the top 10. He's got Denzel Clarkson and Joe Sparrow just in behind there, tied on 93 points, looking to try and close on Joe Glass tonight. We'll see if anybody can dispatch the Glass Tech Racing driver from the top 10.
Okay, so moving on to the GT4 driver standings. After last week's, 2 weeks ago, kind of totally result that was turned upon its head a little bit, we've got William Humphrey that's taken the lead with that win, taken the kind of resumed the championship lead, shall we say, in first place on 270 points. In second place, after his 6th place finish, is Pedro Luis da Silva, who was previously leading the championship. So Pedro's dropped down a little bit, although they are equal on points, with William getting it on number of wins on countback. So those two currently equal. We'll see how William. I know William does like this track because I've seen him race here before. We'll have to see how that pans out tonight. We've got Marius Hibmer, who didn't have the best of nights at the last round. Some kind of difficulty. I don't remember exactly what that was because I don't think we caught it on stream. So Marius finishing 11th. That puts him in 3rd place for Flatline Racing Green on 239 points. We've got Martin Kenyon, Mr. Consistency, with 230 points in 4th place. So Martin's actually doing fantastically well for his DXT team, and they'll all be cheering him on in the chat tonight, no doubt. We've then got Tristan Engelstadt for Quad Dash Racing, who tonight is being reserved by none other than Luke Lucchese. So that's going to be really interesting to see how Luke does in that Quad Dash GT4 Porsche. We've got Stephen Donnelly from JSD Racing in P6 on 222 points. Bobby Moss, Yannis Albert's Minecraft Racing teammate. Bobby also didn't have the greatest time out last time, so he'll be looking to make a bit of an improvement on that. He's in 7th place on 197 points. We've then got Ryan Stringer joining the series a little bit late. Ryan's had some fantastic results, doesn't have a win there yet. He's got that P2 in round 6 on 193 points, so only 4 points behind Bobby Moss, so that's really close. And then we've got the fuel whisperer that is Linus Petkavicius in 9th place in the Mercedes for SRB Motorsport by Lint Vega. So a little bit further behind, 41 points behind, so a bit of a best of the rest, but Linus will be looking to keep that consistency going later on, and no doubt will show us how long you can actually take a GT4 car on fuel. And then rounding out the top 10, we've got Nils Kula for Axis Sim Sports. So Nils Kula is in the final personalised driver trophy positions in 10th place on 143 points. And then just off that, we've got Nick Stubb for Vulcan Fasteners by Glastech Racing on 130 points. And then Justin Eloff. Again, Justin joining the series a bit late on 126 points, trying to claw his way back into those trophy winning positions. He's going to be looking for a good result tonight. So that's it for the drivers' standings. What about the teams? This is where it gets a little bit more serious, and this is where the cash prizes kick in, Dara.
It is, and it's really, I think, what we've seen a lot of the teams, a lot of the drivers focus on over the course of the season is this team's championship. And as of this week, for the first time, we really are getting to see the real tussle between the Minecraft Racing team and the Quad Dash Racing team. Yannis Albert and Bobby Moss only 4 points ahead of Gianni Tejara and Tristan Engelstadt. Reminder, though, that of course Wilbert and Bobby Moss have done less races to get their 497 points, which would, suggest that they would be favourites going into the final few weeks, especially with the consistency of Giannis. However, that is just not how it's going to work, and points must be on the board to make sure that they're going to be in contention into the final round of the season. MK Simsport have fallen back a touch, of course, with GT3 championship leader Anton Kalo alongside Thomas Noakes, who has been performing well of late. They're currently in P3, trying to hold off Flatline Racing Green and Glass Tech Racing, who are doing very consistently in P4 and P5. Again, William Humphrey doing a very good job. I think he would do with a bit of help from Joe to get themselves safe in the top 5 and for some trophies, as well as that £50, maybe even the £60 or the £75 that comes with one of those top 5 places. Axis Conehead, the consistency of Soper and Jennings has them in 6th place. We'll see if they can try and creep towards one of those trophy awarded positions tonight. SRB Motorsports find themselves P7. But you'd have to say they're going to need quite a lot of help to get themselves towards the top 5. 73 points back. It would take, I think, a real uptick in form for Zelinski and Petkovicius to put themselves in contention for a top 5. Flatline Racing Red, there or thereabouts with SRB, just 1 point between those two teams, with Quad Dash LGR and the Rage Against the Game Esports Ruby team just about inside the top 10. Drops off a little bit from there. The Axis RDSA team yet to cross the 200-point threshold. They are, they're pretty much exactly double, or they need double the points to get into the top 5. But they are still looking for a top 10, maybe some £15 to go with that as well. And for HSR, for LS003, and for the random races, they haven't really been able to get going this season. Very few points on the board for them.
Okay, so moving on to the Pro-Ams Teams Championship. We've got a clear runaway leading team here. Our very own Rob Mackay will be very, very pleased with this. So the DXT Motorsports team of Matt Hoyland and Martin Kenyon currently running away with it on 426 points, 111 points ahead of Joe Sparrow and Stephen Donnelly in second place for the JSD Racing team. So I don't see anybody catching Matt and Martin with the form, especially the form that both of the drivers have had. None more impressive than Martin's form and consistency in this championship. So it looks like Joe Sparrow and Stephen Donnelly will be doing their best to consolidate second place, although they are also 107 points ahead of the next team, which is Axis Simsport of Andre Muntean and Nils Kooler. So it looks to me like the fight in this championship is for that kind of third place, fourth place, fifth place for those personalised driver trophies. And of course, the further up the championship they go, the more that the cash prize increases. In fourth place, we've got the Vulcan Fasteners team of Matthew Jones and Nick Stubb. Now, I say this every week, but I swear that Matthew Jones is here tonight. I can see him in the timing screen. He's not a hologram. I'm sure he's here. So he's gonna be one of the first drivers we go to in quali to check that he does actually exist. But they're running it in fourth place. We've then got the Quatermass Motorsport Bravo team of Ben Bennyworth and Ian Chambers in fifth place, rounded out the top 5 teams, which is the last finishing position. P5 is the last finishing position for that personalised driver trophy. So they're going to be looking to hang on to that if they can. They're chased down by Flatline Racing Pink of Kalle Leskinen and Daniel Poole on 141 points. So 32 points behind. They've got a bit of work to do there. Then we've got the Rage Against the Game Esports Diamond team of Clyde Veyer and Malcolm Coates in 7th place on 129 points. Adam Baker and Callum Morrow for LS Racing 002 in 8th on 116 points. Callum Morrow isn't here tonight, and Callum is being reserved by Tom Dart. So in the GT4, in that BMW, we're going to see Tom Dart out there tonight instead of Callum Morrow. In 9th place, we've got Ryan Blackie and Dan Cross. And then 10th, rounding out the top 10 for the final cash prize, which will be really important to Dean Sheasby, I know, just to pay for that Porsche that he absolutely detests driving. So the Moonshiners Racing Club in 10th place, and they're chased down by Andy Chell and Simon Hunt from Quatermass Motorsport. We've got Kamei GP2 Porsche of Jim Fox and John Ludbrook in P12. We've got LS Racing 001, Louis Plath and Pete Paver in P13. And then in P14, we've got Suma GP2 Porsche, which is made up of Robin Aston and Scott Kostrick. And Robin Aston is with us tonight, but he's got the wrong livery on, Dara. So he's got his Came GP2 livery on. So that is the first yellow card of the evening for Mr. Robin Aston. And then we've got Dean Sargent and Jason Haddington, who unfortunately have not been able to stay with us in the championship in P15. So before we get into the action, big thank you to all the series sponsors and the league affiliates. So we've got Trophy AI, we've got VRS, we've got Came, who make the personalised trophies for all of the series in ESR. So a massive thank you to them. GP2 Group, and last but by no means least, we've got Motorsport UK's eSport division that recognised ESR as a recommended community, which we are extremely proud of. So a big shout out to them. Anybody that's interested in following the race tonight, and the live timing link has been posted up there, first of all by Rob Mackay, because he's quicker than me, in the chat. So if you want to jump on there, you can see the live timing, configure the screen, or anybody that's engineering for any of the drivers. And without further ado, we best get into things, Dara, and see what's happening on the racetrack.
Yeah, of course, important time for the drivers to make sure that they can get themselves a competitive lap time on the board early in this session. You can see we're only a few minutes in. First lap time is being popped up. Brian Stringer will Soper the early pace setters in this qualifying session, but I'm sure we're going to see quite a few more times to come through. Albert going P3 in the GT3s. Thomas Noakes, he's really been showing some good pace of late. He's into original pole for the GT4s, but a very long way to go here. James, I think there's going to be quite a few drivers maybe holding back in these opening laps and then going for it later in the session.
Yeah, I think the big unknown for the GT3s is going to be these tyres. So, you know, sadly, I actually think iRacing have got it wrong in terms of the qualifying setups, because when you run a 1 hour event in the traditional format, it doesn't actually allow you to add any more laps than 4. Not that we would anyway, because this series is already underway and it was crossing over the end of a season, kind of a season build, shall we say. But yeah, it just takes a little bit of the true pace away, I think, from qualifying, because in 4 laps, I don't think we're going to see like kind of race representative pace, if that makes any sense at all. But nevertheless, it's the same for everybody, or not for the GT4s, of course, but it's the same for all of those GT3 drivers. So I think the kind of trick to this is to see which driver is able to turn on those tyres or switch on those tyres quickly, but also safely.
Yeah, and that's going to be a real key, I think, for these drivers. And just getting used to that as well is really critical. You know, it is a limited amount of laps that they have to try and work out how best to, you know, get the car in the right window to operate in this kind of qualifying session. And when you consider that we will be doing upwards of 50 laps in the race and you only get 4 in qualifying, just shows how much pressure is put onto the laps. Not quite one-shot qualifying, where you've just got the 1 lap to try and prove your speed. However, it is that firing up of the tyre, particularly when they are cold, and you're absolutely right about that. You know, the further you go in the session, you think that the better the tyres get, but it is about that tyre management. You don't want to take too much out of the tyres whilst warming them up in the early stages of the session, but at the same time, you want to make sure that they are in that working window towards the end of the session. And if you've gone a little bit slower in the earlier stages of the qualifying, to make sure that you have that tyre underneath you at the end, you're going to put more pressure on yourself to get that lap time into the closing minutes. So, you know, it's all relative, and it's all about managing that pressure, managing the tyre, and it really is now a bit of an art form, isn't it, compared to, you know, just having 20 minutes and as much time as you want to have. You really have to hone your skills in this kind of qualifying session, and it's kind of become its own event, really. You've really got to be able to learn how to approach this kind of session well.
Yeah, I just realised what I said there, Rob. Thank you for reminding me. I meant switch the tyres on, not turn the tyres on. So, so yeah, clearly your mind has gone somewhere it shouldn't have done, Robbie, with the comments there in the chat. But you knew exactly what I meant. I meant switching the tyres on and getting them in that operating window as quick as possible. So it looks like on the stream that we are having a few technical glitches tonight with the bandwidth and the bit rate. So I do apologise if that is the case. Hopefully between 2 of the sessions that we can try and fix that a little bit. Not the easiest thing to do midstream, I must admit, but we'll just keep fingers crossed that it does stabilise for us, as we've got Matt Hoyland there that is currently running in P8 in the Corvette. So Matt's just put in a 142.5. We said we were going to have a little look for Matthew Jones, and we are. There he is. So he does exist, Dara, one of the Vulcan Fasteners by Glasstec team. So he's currently running in P9. No time on the board for Zelinskas, Glass, Smith, Aston, Chell and Muntean at the moment. So I don't quite know what they're doing, as though we've just got a disappearance there. So I don't know whether that's my end or whether that's Matthew Jones's end. Let me have a look into someone else.
Likely to be Jones.
Yeah,
it's likely to be Matthew Jones.
Yeah, I'll have a little look between sessions. I'll have a little look in to see what we can maybe try and improve. But yeah, it seems to have stabilised a bit more now. But again, it's midstream. It's not always the easiest to make substantial changes, shall we say, that can affect things.
Yeah, we often do have a couple of drivers that do start blinking, don't we? Their own internet connections can be questionable sometimes. Of course, drivers disconnecting. And even when they're blinking on track for other drivers, can be so difficult to know where they are. Bit of a slide on the rear end for Kalle Väisänen coming in towards turns 9 and... Oh, sorry, for turns 10 and 11. Again, trying to get that rear end turned in over the crest of the hill can be tricky. The offload, as you are, you reach that crest, the offload of gravity, even if slight, can unsettle that rear end and make it difficult to control. Thomas Noakes, mind you, looking like he's improving towards the end of the lap in the GT4. He's already got the fastest time, not by much, only 0.03 of a second. But a purple middle sector for him, is it going to be any improvement as he crosses the line? Yes, it is. A couple of tenths of a second puts him now 2/10 clear of William Humphrey. Lucchese is also looking to improve as well, but Thomas Noakes really setting the standard, as he has done the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's looked on the couple of occasions that we've seen, it's looked a lot like Thomas is going to be taking it to William for definite. So if that continues, then hopefully that should make for a really good race with Thomas, William, Luke and Justin, all in very, very close times. Ryan Stringer, the same, right? There's probably 5 of them that you could kind of throw a blanket over all of them at the moment with the times that they've secured. So that's fantastic. We've still got some GT3 drivers that's not set a lap. So I'm wondering whether the other thing about the tyre model, Dara, is that if you do have a spin on during the qualifying, then iRacing will reset your tyre temps to 35 degrees. To stop people, or so they say, it's to stop people actually kind of trying to bypass the system and doing burnouts to warm the tyres up, etc, etc. So yeah, it could well be that a couple of these guys have had a bit of a spin and their tyres have reset. So Joe Glass has now set a time that's put him in P13. So the championship contenders, we've got Yannis Albert at the top, Gianni Terhar in second. Let's have a quick look. They look like they've completed their laps. They do. So we've got Lewis Kenyon, who is reserving for Josh Cowan tonight for the Axis RDSA team. I have to keep remembering all these different variants of the same team name. So that's Lewis up in P7. We've got Joe Sparrow in. He's just finished his lap. So Joe's got his wrong livery on as well. He's not got his team JSD livery on, it looks like. So I think he's just sat there having a coffee at the moment. So we'll jump back on with Joe's only done 2 laps. Joe Glass, he's only done 2 laps, so he's got a lap and a half left to do. So he'll be hoping to put his best lap in for the 4th lap, Dara, I think, because that's when the tyres should be at the best.
Yeah, and I think it'll be his best chance to really improve and put himself ahead. P9 is where he goes for the time being. That's a very congested midfield at the moment, isn't it? There's not a lot to separate those guys. However, I think it's definitely fair to say that the longer we go into this session and the longer that he has, or the fewer laps he has, I should say, the more difficult it could be. That's going to be an aborted lap. That's not the right line in towards turn 3, and Joe is exploring a bit. Maybe he's trying to find a holiday destination.
He's going to blame us for that. There's no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt. I am going to get the invoice for that one. make sure of it. But here we go. So first yellow card, Mr. Robin Aston, wrong livery. So he's not in the Came GP2 Porsche team for this championship. He is in the Suma GP2 team. But I suppose it's a good job that I at least know which one he's in. So Robin, this is his last lap. As Robin looks to come over the line, doesn't look like he's... has he improved? He has. He's improved up to P15, so not bad for Robin. As we look down a bit further into the GT4, so we got Linus Petkovicius. He's coming up to complete 3 of his laps, currently running in P12. This last lap is going to be probably his best lap if he can hold it together. I can see in the chat that there is some big stutters on the visuals, so unfortunately guys, there's not a lot we can do about it when it does stutter. I think I know where the issue is, and it's not something that's going to be easy for me to resolve midstream, unfortunately, so we'll just have to keep our eye on it. If it drops off significantly, then we may have to take a couple of minute break and then restart with a second session, but we'll see. Keep it tracking, we'll see how it goes. And yeah, as I say, apologies, but there's not really a great deal that I can do about it while we're already on the stream. As Linus Petkovicius comes out of sector 1, it looks like he's still on a push lap here, Dora.
Does may be able to improve on the current position of P12 for Petkovicius. Andy Chell, another driver who could improve in the number 5 car. I don't even know if Andy's had a lap time himself at the moment. He must have done, though, because a 40.5 is his benchmark. Oh, no, that's the fastest time in the session. So, yeah, Andy Chell looks like he's setting his first lap time, but it looks like it's going to be a little ways off the pace for him. Good enough only to put him into P19 and some 4.5 seconds away from the fastest lap time in the session so far. Luke Lucchese's not improving. Rob Smith looks like he's improving in the number 13. He's not set a lap time yet in this session either. He's down there. It's the 21st name in the GT3 class, but Rob Smith will be approaching the line now. Let's see if he can pop himself up into the end, into the top positions, or at least into the top 15. He is... Well, lap time doesn't look like it's going to be too positive for him, and may only put him into P19 himself. Lucchese's gone second on an improved run now, but still some way off of the fastest time of Thomas Noakes. Rob Smith hasn't even improved in the end on his time. Petkovicius hasn't improved either. He's only about half a tenth away from where he has been fastest around the course of this lap, but we are few and far between on the amount of drivers left on the track now, James.
We are. We've got, I think there's only Linus and Rob left to complete their laps with 4 minutes left to go. So if we get to the end of this, what I might do, Dora, is we might take a couple of minute break with a view for me trying to stop the stream, change a few settings, and then restart the stream. So with 3 minutes to go, I think that's what we're going to do. So for everybody that's watching, we're going to take a couple of minute break and we'll try our best to be back for the start of the race.